You want me to tell a story? I was thinking work. I could tell all my old jobs. My very first job, when I was a 15-year-old boy, to work at an arcade. It was called Incredible Pizza, and there was 4 main categories where you could work. There's the buffet, and then there's the front desk. Next is party hall, and I decided on the very last category, the game room, where you just hang out in the game room with all the arcade machines and the big old attractions. Now the attractions, the first one, the littlest one, the one you're supposed to learn first, is the movie theater. It was like a 4D, 5D movie theater with chairs that moved. It had wind that blew. This was my least favorite part of the job, was sitting in front of that dang movie theater, because they showed the movies on the screen to make sure like it was working. So I had to re-watch every single one of those movies over 500 times each. I bet. Next is the one I learned first, was laser tag. We had a laser tag arena. Our vests were crap though. They weren't like the cool ones you see like when you go to the new arcades. Our vests were terrible. They constantly broke. I eventually had to learn how to fix them. There's not much to say about laser tag. I got really good at it. Last attraction, the go-karts. And go-karts had 2 people running it. One person had to buckle all the children in. And then, so I was the announcer most times. And I would announce until my throat hurt after like a 5-hour shift. I give credit to that for my speaking skills. Maybe not speaking skills, but lack of fear to speak in front of people. And then I left. I left Incredible Pizza because I wasn't making good money, even after getting promoted. I said that to my next job, and they were like, how about we pay you $3 more than they were going to pay you? And I was like, yes, please. I worked at Target next. And at Target, I was the little man who would fetch the orders for the rapid pickup. So whenever like your mom made a purchase on the Target app and it's like, would you like to drive up to pick it up? I was the person who had to collect those items. And you had to collect those items within 15 minutes, which isn't really an issue until multiple orders drop. And then you start missing time frames, and then managers get mad, but they've never done the job before because it was a new job at the time. So I couldn't really explain. It was a bad time. And then I kept track of my steps while working at Target. I kept track of my steps, and every day I would reach around 30,000 steps just working at Target. I worked there for 8 months, and then I quit. I took a little break for like 2 weeks, and I started the job search again. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to work an adult job now. I applied to a telemarketing company, and I worked as a telemarketer for 1 day. They sold a newspaper. You're just supposed to call random people who live in Florida, and you're like, hey, you want to buy some newspaper? 90% of the time, they don't say anything. They just hang up. For me, anyway. When you make a sale, you're supposed to be like, okay, I'm gonna put you on the phone with my supervisor so you can finish the contract. 5 hours in my first day, I finally got one. I got a lady who said, yes, I want to buy this newspaper. So I raised my hand, but the supervisor was helping someone else. So I just sat there raising my hand. It took like a minute, and then I looked back at the screen, and I realized the lady had hung up. So I just slowly lowered my hand. I never got that far with anyone else. I didn't make a single sale. I didn't come back the next day. I hated that. That was the worst moment of my life. At the same time as I got this job, I'm like, all right, I have a lot of free time. Let's get rid of all of that free time and get a second job. This job was at a door-to-door sales business where you would sell windows. Did the interview. I went back the next day for orientation. I didn't even do a single day. I didn't knock on a single person's door. After that orientation, I just didn't show up anymore. I graduated high school. I wanted to try the adulting job again. I decided to get a job at an insurance company as a salesman, as a life insurance salesman. Now, what they don't tell you, you have to study. They were like, okay, so if you follow this course we have lined out, you should be able to start with us in 3 months from now. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I brought the study guide back home, and I started taking notes day 1. And I'm sure I'll be able to pass this test with flying colors. So I study for like 2 months straight, and I finish the lessons. I go to a separate testing facility, and they're like, okay, you can take the test. So I go in there, I give the lady my phone, and I'm pretty sure I got a 0. Everything on there, I didn't see. I didn't see on the study guide. There was not a single word I recognized. It was like I studied the complete wrong thing. Taking these tests costs $50 every time you attempt. I looked over all my notes again. And I went back. I went back to the testing place. $100 down now at this point. I failed again. So at that point, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I obviously have no idea anything about life insurance. I was just like, okay, I quit. And I ghosted my employer. I ghosted them. They called me like every day for a month. And I got tired of it, so I blocked their number. After that, I started college. I think I did the first semester not working, and so I got a job. And I'm like, what looks fun? What looks cool? Opening for a country club. I started working at the country club. I worked at this place for like over a year. I actually really enjoyed this job a lot. Despite working with rich people, I never got tipped, not a single time. There's honestly not much to say about the country club. So yeah, I quit that job. After quitting that job, I didn't work for a while. That's when COVID hit. After COVID had calmed down a bit, I started working at a place called the Home Goods. I had this horrible phase where I would just quit jobs if I ever got like tired of it at all. So I eventually quit the job. But my job at Home Goods, assembling furniture and lamps. And then every now and then, when a Karen would buy a couch that I had assembled, I have to go and meet the Karen in front of the store with the couch and stuff it into the back of her tiny little Nissan. And then that's it. That's the whole job. So I quit Home Goods, and I was like, you know what? I'm done working forever. And that went on for about 3 months before, once again, my mom's like, bro, get a job. So the next job I got was at Costco. I applied as a cashier. The problem was they said they had 2 jobs open. They said they had a surprise job opening that wasn't listed on the website. This job is in the deli. I was like, you know what? That sounds fun, actually. What do you do? I see those people behind the glass. They're just sitting back there assembling sandwiches, right? I had the choice to work as a cashier or the deli, and I chose the deli, which was my first mistake. In the deli, they have a spot where the new deli people go. Mind you, this was the worst job I ever had. My job was to cook chicken, a lot of it. In fact, I think we went through about 100 whole chickens every single hour. They were rotisserie cooked chicken. So what I would have to do is I would have to get a box full of about 50 chickens, and I would stand over a sink, and then I would just stick raw chickens onto a rotisserie stick. They get heavy after a while, and I had to cook six racks of 4 chickens every time you stick them in the furnace, and cook them for like an hour and a half. You have to also be careful not to burn yourself by accidentally touching the chicken with your skin. And then you have to stick them all the chickens that you cooked in tiny little boxes. And then put a sticker on the box that says what time you set them out. That way, if they went bad after 2 hours of being out, you would take them and you'd put them in the fridge. And you just cook like 1,000 chicken. So like as soon as you put chicken in the oven, you would go load up more chicken. And then as soon as you would be finished loading up the chicken, the first chicken you put in there, it'd be ready. And it was just constant lifting chicken. Your arms would get sore. You'd be covered in chicken guts and blood. And then every now and then you deal with a customer that's like, hey, where's the tissue papers? And I'd be like, I have no idea. I work behind the deli all day. And then it gets worse. Every night, I would work the closing shift for the chicken ovens, which involved going into every single oven, scraping out all the goo that was chilling on the bottom, and then throwing them in a trash can with every single oven. And some of them were tall. And if you touch the sides of the oven, you burn yourself. And then after that, you have to spray them all down with a hose. And you have to wash the whole floor with the hose and soap and like a giant mop type thing. And then after that, you have to drain out the fat out of all of the ovens, which go into a separate little storage container, which, let me tell you, the fat smelled so bad. My God, the smell was insanely awful. You had to take every single fat canister. So you dump all the fat reservoirs into a giant fat cart, and then you would take that fat cart, you had to roll it out of the deli, down an aisle to the back, where the fat tank was. And you had to sit there for 5 minutes while the fat tank took the fat out of the fat roller. I don't know what they were called. All I know is that it's full of chicken fat, smelled bad, it was gross. To make matters even better, every single week, you would have to clean out the fat tank. You would have to open the fat tank and just reach your whole arm in there. Oh, God, I hated that job. And I was gone within a month. The only good thing that came out of Costco is that I used all of the Costco money to buy the laptop I'm currently streaming off of. And then that brings us to my second most recent job. I worked at Menards. It's a supply store. So I went to orientation, but the orientation video they showed us scared me. It frightened me so much I didn't come back the next day. In the video, there was a lady, and she was like a testimonial to say how good Menards was. She was saying, oh, I started working here when I was 16, and I only played to stay for a month so I could buy stuff when I was shopping with my friends. But then she said something that scared me, which was, I ended up liking Menards so much that I stayed here for 37 years. And I was like, nope, 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 I cannot let that be me. I didn't come back. That brings us to my job that I have now. I work for my father. I work for his glass company. He owns it. Yeah, streaming. Oh, I cannot wait. If that actually becomes reality. There are 2 employees that work there at the company, which is my dad and me. I don't do any of the glass stuff. I do all the office stuff. But there's a bunch of other people there who do help him out, but they're like contractors. So he hires them for jobs that he needs. Like if the job's too big, he'll hire like 2 people. Yeah, that's it. I work there now, and that's my life. That's my life story for you.